Pick a card, any card. Alright, there's still nuggets from the conversion to Bedrock, so with a bit of magic, or terrible editing, please, I'm still new at this. Now you can see they're all beautiful, decked out 2 cards. Now how do we get these beautiful cards from the Java version of Decked Out 2? Well, I'm glad you asked. Through a week of painful editing in Blockbench and files. First we found the original textures, and although we could make them work, they're kind of flashy, and not in a good way. I then had to flatten each image, redo the textures, create items, custom animations so they appear in your hand and not behind you like whatever this is, create a bunch of files for the new items, put it into our behavior and resource pack and test it. This took some time and occasional tears. I'm still learning things, which has really slowed me down a lot this time. But why do we want cards? In Tango's Decked Out 2, cards are used to create another layer to the game. It creates strategy and collectibles. Each card gives you certain boosts, so you can go deeper into the dungeon or collect more loot. But they come with some trade-offs. Take Suit Up for example. It gives you diamond, chest and leg armor, but every shrieker you hit increases your chance of generating 1 clank by 25%, so you get the buff of taking a couple more hits, but the dungeon will be getting more dangerous for you. How do these cards get into each game run? Well, we have to put our deck into a Shulker box, and then at the start of the game it gets broken and sent down to the game. But here's where the redstone from the Java version stops working, and we need to get fixing for Bedrock. So our first stop is this Shulker breaker. Now the timing is slightly off for Bedrock. Sometimes, occasionally it breaks 1 card before the Shulker's broken, so 2 items get sent down, the Shulker box and the item, which is fine as long as we handle it at the other end. Bedrock timing's a little less precise in Java. At times the order of events is kind of verging on random, so slowing timing down really helps with Redstone. One thing we need to look at is item transportation. From our camera account, we can see that the items have a long way to travel from the Shulker breaker down to the card system at the bottom in the game. So in Java, some more of these instant hopper lines have been added here, but these don't work in Bedrock, so we either need to go back to water streams or find another way to do this. So I've timed this route, and it takes the Shulker box around 11 seconds to travel from the Shulker breaker to the Shulker unloader down in the game. Aha, so here in the test world, I've been looking at options and how quickly we can move items in survival. So don't worry, I'll talk you through these. I'm going to look at a dropper line, water stream, a slime launcher, and talk about the considerations. Firstly, we have the dropper line, but modify for Bedrock. It's not going to be quick, as we can't insta-transport like they can in Java, but let's rule it out and see how long it takes. So that item gets broken, it gets dropped down. It'll go through our modified line. This is just going to click. We don't really need all these observers. You only really need 1 for each section, but this is just a copy of what was in Decked Out 2 in Java. So that should eventually spit the item out there. It should drop all the way down here and run all the way to here where it would appear in the loader at the bottom. So let's go and see what that is. And yes, we can see it turns up after 23 long seconds, more than double what was in Decked Out 2 in Java. So should we go back to a water stream? Tango removed it because it was way too slow in Java, but how slow is it? Let's go and test. Okay, so Shulker box going in, and it's going to drop out, and this time it's going to be spat out into the water line. There we go. And it's going to take the same route next to the dropper line, and then we're going to see it drop down here. Wow, that is slower than I thought it would be. All the way to the end, and then I can time this one as well. Okay, so that one clocked in at 22 seconds, or close enough. The longer time is unloading 40 items at the bottom, so the 22 seconds and the 23 seconds is how long it took to get from the top to the bottom. It's 1 second quicker than the droppers, but still double the time of Java. So that got me thinking, how can we move things in survival, but a bit more quickly? So I took a look at adding slime launchers for some of the route to accelerate items sort of more quickly down these lines. I added 2. There's 1 at the first drop. There's 1 on this corner here. I did add 1 right at the bottom there, but for some reason the items weren't really aligning properly, so it never got set off. So I've just added kind of standard water stream at the bottom. I've put it on blue ice as well to go as quickly as possible. I did have an option to go straight out here and drop down, but that's really outside of the citadel, so that would actually break through the kind of the mountain that the citadel, the Deep Frost Citadel, sitting on, and go down. So it's a bit messy. So for this one, I'm dropping it down in the existing line. So let's put an item in, and we can test the speed on this one as well. I don't have this set up, so I'll just let's put an item in here, and we'll drop it. You see it gets launched. We've got water as well to kind of keep the momentum going. And it'll drop down here. No launcher there, just standard water. And it'll end up here. And there we go. Okay, I've got my birch sign. Let's put it down. And we got 15 seconds. Again, 30 seconds to unload 40 items, but 15 seconds to get from the top to the bottom. So we're pretty close. We're only 4 seconds slower. I think that's about as quick as I can get it. Okay, and lastly, I took an approach hinted at by Tango, which was not to send players' cards down to the game in the first place, but to send them kind of down over Redstone. Now, in theory, this sounds lightning fast, and there's a system in Decked Out 2 that does this. That's the audio card calling system. That's the one that uses this Redstone, so every time a card is going to be called, rather than sending the item over to the music disc over to the jukeboxes, it just sends a signal down to a central music room where the music's played. It was really designed to be run at much slower speeds. You can get clashes if two signals come through at the same time, so you really have to send items really slowly across here. So this at the top is just like an item sorter. Again, this is very similar to what's in for the card calling system. But if we have two items arrive here at the same time, when these observers go down and power this red line and we get a different signal strength, the bigger one can cancel out the smaller one. And I can show you what that looks like in a second. For a comparative number, so 40 items going through here, it's about 25% longer, so about 60 seconds, and the others are about 40 seconds. And we still get clashes. There's most likely better ways to implement this, but I've only got so much time and skill. So let me show you what it looks like, and then you can get a view. So if we take a card here and we just drop it on there, this will start spitting the cards out. And they're going very slowly at the moment to try and avoid clashes. And as they go through, this is kind of printing them out, setting a signal strength. And then this is going all the way down here on this sort of wire. And it's getting decoded at the bottom here, and it's kind of spitting out the relevant cards into this bucket here, or chest. It's kind of like a bucket with a lid made of wood and not metal. So this kind of works, but it's a bit slower. Like I said, there's probably better ways of doing this to make it kind of happen a bit quicker. Because at full speed, this could be really lightning fast, but you need to find a way of it not clashing, and that's something I've not really looked into this kind of redstone too much. But yeah, about 60.03 seconds when I took a look at it by bringing the items in. So I could see this approach working by bringing the faster bits of the game higher up. So things like the card shuffler and the reader, and then sending down signals as each card's read to a system like this. Because as they're called every 20 to 30 seconds, there's not really going to be any clashes. Whereas this is trying to send stuff down to the game really quickly to get the game started. We really want to get all of the cards down so they get in the shuffler, so we kind of get a random order. But right now, I'm not going to be moving anything. I'm definitely not going to be moving any of the major card components or any major components in the game, because we're really just trying to fix stuff for Bedrock first. And then finally, I had a really early design of sending duplicate cards down. Which is this up here. So really all that happens is very similar. Cards get put in here, they go through this system, and they can go pretty quickly in this system. And then on the other side, we're spitting out duplicates. So in this one, we would solve the problem of not sending the player's cards down to the bottom. But we're not really solving for speed at this point. So we're sending 40 items down, rather than rather than one box. So we're still not really addressing both problems that we need to address. So you can see we have all the cards in there, and then these are duplicate cards here. The idea being that would be instantly returned to the player's shulker box, so there's no lag at the end of the game. Again, I will start thinking about this and other approaches, but right now we're just in fixing mode, not doing anything revolutionary. Okay, so to summarize, drop a line, slow. Water stream, pretty slow. Slime launchers, best we've got 15 seconds. So we know what we need to do. We need to build some slime launchers. We need to get some water streams to go with it and get some blue ice and get it built. So after getting all those items all the way down to the game and the card system, the next thing we need to do is to get them into the shuffler. Now, what does the shuffler do? Well, the shuffler is really there to randomize or shuffle the card order. If you think about it, the name kind of says it all. Yeah. So the shuffler's really there to stop players kind of rigging their deck, sort of front-loading cards they want, putting them into the shulker in the order they want them to play out. So it'll get down there, it'll randomize them, and then each time the game needs to call a card or pull a card out of the deck, it'll pull a card out, and that'll then go down to the system, which will then take an action, so like sneak or stability or any of these things for like adding the effects to the game. Now, I've had a look at the shuffler in the game, and it's firstly pretty hard to understand because it's quite compact redstone, but after I got round it, and let's go to the test world and have a look. Okay, so here we are in the test world, and there's a couple of things to show you on the shuffler that we've got. So this is a copy of the core system, so core part of the shuffler. There's a lot of redstone around this. It's pretty hard to understand because it's pretty compact, and it's really hard to understand things that other people built sometimes. So yeah, I've spent a lot of time sort of looking at this, studying it, trying to work out what works and what doesn't work, and then thinking about how we get this working for Bedrock. So one of the first things that happens here, and I'll kind of show you in a bit of a random order, but it'll make sense. So cards will come in on this line. They'll go into this boat with a chest here. And the reason a boat with a chest is being used there is because there's kind of three interactions here, 4 including the line coming in. So one is there is about 40 hopper minecarts here that are locked and will read out of that to pull the entire deck out in one go. So that's one interaction. There's a second interaction of the cards being put into the deck in the first place. Then this bit here's the shuffler. So these are 2 droppers and they point upwards. So the top dropper will go back into the chest. And then at the end of the game, and I don't have this bit on here, at the end of the game, there's another one sort of drain all the cards out and send them back to the player, which is another interaction, just to make sense of this. So there's a couple of behaviors that we need. So one is if we put items into this chest boat, we want them to drain out. And I've kind of got an artificial card calling button there, which will unlock it, and it's not drained out. Now, this is the first Bedrock thing, and it's a bit weird. So normally if you have a hopper minecart under something, it'll instantly drain it out. And in Java that's the case. You can put a boat with a chest on top of a hopper minecart, and it'll pull items out. In Bedrock it can't read it, but it can read it if you put another item in the middle, which to me is a bit weird, but it is what it is. So if you have, so this is exactly the same as over there, but the only thing we've changed is we've put a block between the chest boat, the boat with the chest, and the hopper minecart. So now you can see if I put in my random birch sign and I know nimble looting, and look at the bottom, yeah, they've made it all the way down. So that's the first problem. So even if we just kept this existing design, we've got to make it 1 block higher, just to accommodate that. And there isn't really a block because directly above this is kind of a bunch of redstone. Directly below this is waterstone. Waterstone? Water streams. Waterstone, that'd be interesting. Directly below this is water, streams, and other redstone. Above this is other redstone. So making this taller is a thing we've got to think about. The other thing is when a card gets down here, it gets put into the water stream. If it's not selected, it'll go into this dropper, and the idea is it'll then trigger this observer or the sticky piston with an observer on. It'll go up, it'll make an observer clock, and it'll push all the items as they come through back up into this chest boat. So they'll be randomized, ready for the next card to be called. But let's put a block of slime in. Aha! This works in Java, but doesn't work in Bedrock. You can't power a piston like that. So the approach I've taken over here, and these are all kind of work in progress, is spreading this out. So now if I put a slime in there, we've got the extra block which will read. So what's happening here is this isn't going through the observer to the piston. By having this redstone on this block, it powers this block, which then powers the piston. And that's enough to kind of get everything up to here. So you can see our slime block is there as well. And I've been playing around with timings here as well. Now, all the timings I've used, I kind of run into the same problem where 2 items are selected. I don't know if this is to do with hopper cooldown or something else. So I've taken a slightly different approach, which I'll show you in one of these designs. Let me find it. Aha, so it was this one over here. So this is still a prototype. But we still, and this is a bit messy, it's kind of going out sideways. This is because I'm building it, and I'll refine it soon. So we kind of have the same observer clock here as items come through. We still have the same system that's pulling out of the chest. Now I've put a chest up here rather than a chest boat for some testing. So I still haven't decided on how I'm going to return the items. And then I have something slightly different, which we need to take advantage of, because we have this in Bedrock, but it's not there in Java, which is sort of movable tile entities and hoppers. So we can push and retrieve hoppers with pistons. That doesn't work in Bedrock. No, it does work in Bedrock. Haha! No, it works for us. It doesn't work in Java. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put on our a test deck, and that should start loading into here. You can see we've got Treasure Hunter, Sneak, Ember Seeker, Frost Focus, Loot and Scoot, and Haste. Now this is my current test system. So what this does is it'll unlock, and again there's about 40 hopper minecarts in there. It's going to unload them, and we'll get the way we're going to get the one card is we're going to push this over for about 4 ticks, which is enough for it to take a card and then retract. So far this has been pretty reliable. So this is the button. So this should be the game saying, hey, play another card. So we'll play a card, and we grabbed it, and there's a card. That could probably do with something else in it. And we got Frost Focus, which wasn't the first card we were looking for. So if we look in here, Frost Focus got sorted to the front. So if we call again, we don't want a Frost Focus this time. So let's see what we get. We got another Frost. That's unlucky. That's, I think, a fluke. Let's try again. Aha, Loot and Scoot. So let's see what we've got next. So maybe we'll get Treasure Hunter this time. Let's see what we get. We did get Treasure Hunter. So it looks like when it gets sorted, whichever card ends up at the front here, so maybe we'll get Treasure Hunter again, is the card that we get pulled out. Let's see what this is. Oh no, Haste. It is a bit more random. What have we got next? So we've got Ember, Frost, Sneak, Loot and Scoot, and Treasure Hunter. Let's see what we get this time. Ember Seeker. Okay, that's pretty cool. The reason this is kind of bobbing up and down is really it needs a bit more redstone in there to stop it, but it's working. Every time an item trickles through there, they're kind of coming through one at a time. And that means it's going up, down, as each item's coming through. There's not really a constant flow, so it's not as ideal. But this is kind of where I am with the prototype of what the new system will look like. Again, I can get it all in line. I can get it all in line to be a bit more tidy. But this certainly looks like it's working. I was worried that items would get stuck in this hopper when it gets retracted, but 4 ticks seems to be exactly the right amount of time for it to draw and to be drawn down. In a Bedrock, there's a 4 tick cooldown, I think. Okay, we got Treasure Hunter that time. There's a 4 tick cooldown, so that kind of works. Treasure Hunter, Sneak, Loot and Scoot, Ember Scooter, Frost Focus. What do we got? But you get the idea. And we got Treasure Hunter, I think. So after optimizing this design, all that would be left to do would be really to get the return. So when the cards need to be returned, when the game ends, that we can just drain all those cards out and give them back to the player pretty quickly. That's something I need to work to get in. It might need to get taller to have a chest boat in it again. And that involves moving some redstone. So I'm not going to do that today because I got to have a look at the redstone systems in the around this and try and work out what's the best way to do this. So what I'll do is I'll refine this model and try and get this a bit more optimized. But I think this is working because all the other versions I've got where we're locking hoppers, we're getting 2 items, or we're getting 1 item that's stuck that'll get called next. And I really don't want to get an item stuck sort of in the middle. So this kind of approach works. So yeah, so that's it. So you may be wondering, where are you finding all of the iron and iron ingots and all the things you need to make all of the items, so the keys, the coins, crowns and everything? Where are you going? Where are you finding it? This is kind of some sneaky ninja stuff. And when I say sneaky ninja, perhaps not so good. By the way, this is a fantastic base. Very much love it. But one of the advantages of being on this server is having a look around and seeing what we can find, and certainly to borrow items from players that have left things in the game. So it's been a bit of a technical one today, but if you appreciate it and the effort I'm going to, please like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think. It's good fun working on this, but pretty painful. This has been a pretty challenging couple of weeks getting this sorted. Had to learn a few things, but thanks very much, and see you next time, hopefully soon. Bye.